Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are doing a continuation on the 6-liter project. This is episode 3. If you haven't seen the other 2, check them out. They are halfway decent. First episode, we did some upgrades, exhaust, some of that cool fun stuff, fuel pump and fuel system. Second one, we went ahead and pulled the engine out for bulletproofing, like doing head studs, new heads, new turbo, injectors, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on. And then in this episode, we're putting it all back together, showing that process, and also going through all the nonsense that has to do with that. My wallet is thin. I'm pulling my hair out with this piece of junk, but I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you at the end. All right, friends, we're back here working on the 6-liter. We just got the heads in from Powerstroke Performance. So there's only one way to go up from here. We're gonna start putting it back together. It's been like a week since I took it apart, so I already forgot where most of everything goes, so that might become a problem. There's only one way to find out, so let's start getting this thing back together. All right, here's the heads. $2,600 later. I am the new owner of these. I haven't opened them up yet, so let's check them out and see what we got. Oh, a sticker. All right. Woo! Already paying for itself. All right, so it says, warning, if you live in California, this product may cause cancer, but if you live in the other 49 states, you'll be just fine. So imagine there's nothing in here. It's just a bunch of rocks. All back. As you can see here, I opted for the heads that have these. These are O-rings, right? Sometimes people call them fire rings. The benefit for that is that when you have a lot of boost and you're pulling a heavy load and putting a lot of strain on all the head bolts and head studs, it actually acts as like a secondary protection against blowing a head gasket. Just that little bit of a crush ring that gives you some more sealing power. So we're just cleaning out these holes right now and getting all any water or oil out of them. Because that'll make it so that the bolt, if it's pushing against water or oil, it might not seat all the way, have some tension on it. All right, we got some ARP head studs with installation instructions. These are our head gaskets right here. These are Molly head gaskets, and they're supposed to be really good. So they're basically Ford OEM ones. So yeah, we can throw these on now. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. One. Ta-da! Ooh. Beautiful. I think we're ready to put the heads back on now. Oh, that was expensive. Let's get this thing finished up.
How are you gonna put this on YouTube if you're not filming?
She's filming right now.
Oh.
Actively filming. All right, these are the rocker pieces. I don't know. They go on these little push rods here, and then they sit on the valves. All right, so we're putting these head stud nuts on, and then we're gonna go ahead and torque it all up. And we can go over to the other side and do it all over again.
You gotta
This is gonna take some time.
225 foot-pounds or whatever.
210. So our engine stand is, we don't actually have one, so it's just on jack stands. And I had regular engine stand, but it won't be able to hold the weight of this engine because it weighs 1,000 pounds. So when I started torquing it down, the engine moved and everyone freaked out a little bit. I didn't really think it was a big deal, but you know. Okay.
His riding side.
That's a lot of tightness. So I got one more side to do, and we can keep going from there. All right, I've got all the injectors in. Everything is done on this side. All I have to do is put the oil, high pressure oil system back on. For the injectors were a really big part of this build. These are 175/30s from Warren diesel injection. Now these injectors are made to put a lot more fuel in the system. The stock injectors are like a 135, and these are basically a bigger nozzle, push more fuel, so the truck can make more power. And that's what we want to do, right? All right, so the engine is ready to go back into the truck, and I'm a little bit nervous to do this, but I'm just gonna take it slow, and I think we'll be just fine. We're gonna try our best not to drop this on our toes, and all the wiring is back on. It looks like a little bit of a mess, but that's just how these engines are with everything. So we've got the regulated return hoses on the back here, and I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
How do we stop it?
Yeah. I'll throw something under the tire to stop it.
Okay.
Let's get it right there.
Okay.
Now engine go in truck.
We just bought it off of our favorite Jim's
colleague.
We can buy.
Oh, holy dude, that thing gave us a fight. Woo, it's in now. Look at that bad. All right, the engine is in. It fought us like hell, as you can see. We were really trying to fight it. We couldn't get like the way the engine was hanging. I had it at the wrong angle. This homemade engine lift mount did not do what I wanted it to do. But we got some of the bell housing bolts in and the torque converter bolts. So tomorrow we can start putting everything back together, but it's looking really good. So I'm happy to have this thing back together. All right, so all the bell housing bolts are in. The next thing we gotta do is put this up pipe in. This comes off of both the manifolds and goes into the turbo. So it's gonna be a little bit of a tight fit. All right, so the up pipe is in. That was a pain in the ass. Now it's time to install our turbo. So as you can see, we have two here. We're not doing twins. This is the stock turbo right here. It's an 03, it's a 10 blade, very loud. Good turbo, makes a lot of power, I'm sure. But we're going up to this. This is a PowerMax turbo basically, and it's a stage 2 from Barter. It's an older company. I found this one used on Marketplace for 600 bucks. Rebuilt it with a KC Turbo rebuild kit, so everything's freshened up. It's beautiful inside, cleaned up, and ready to go back in the truck. It's got a bigger inducer, exducer. Basically, it should be able to pull and clean out those injectors. When you're pushing that much fuel, you need to have the air to support it too. So this should get us well in that 500 horsepower range with some good tuning. So it's time to go in now. right, putting some oil in this girl. Takes 2.5 gallons, or actually 3 gallons, so I had to get a 2.5 gallon and a 1/3 gallon, so this is not cheap. All right, now we're gonna add the coolant. This thing takes like 7 gallons, so I got 3 of the concentrated and 3 gallons of distilled water, and I hope that's enough. That's 6 gallons. We'll find out. It's a lot cheaper to buy the concentrate and a gallon of distilled versus the 50-50. Then you can just mix them. Took 4.5 gallons. It's at the max right now, so I know when the system runs, it's gonna drain a lot more, but I gotta wait until the truck starts. And the only thing I'm waiting on right now is the tunes for the truck. It needs special tunes with the bigger injector and turbo, so it runs right. So just waiting on those, and then I can start her up. All right, I just got the tuner updated with the new tunes for the 6.0. These are all innovative diesel tunes. It was like $300 for all of them, so kind of pricey, but I hear that these are the best ones. And they'll work with these big injectors. It's all custom written, so it should be ready to download into the truck now. All right, we are downloading the tune right now. So while that is downloading, I went ahead and set the fuel pressure. We got 65 PSI right there. And that's what these new injectors want to run on, 65 to 70 PSI. Once that tune downloads, I'm gonna crank it. I know it's gonna take a while to crank because these injectors have a lot of air in them. So usually it takes like a minute or so of cranking for them to start up. So a little nerve-wracking, but we'll see. All right, here we go, for better or for worse.
Several days later.
All right, so I have a very unfortunate update here. My joy was short-lived with the 6.0. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, so I got a lot of stuff torn apart here, and you diesel guys could probably guess what's going on. So I was running the truck, and it was running good at idle. Once the truck warmed up, it was getting a cylinder 3 contribution slash balance, which I guess is basically similar to like a misfire. So I was able to get the truck home, and it's here. And so with that code, what my plan is here, I'm thinking it's probably a bad faulty injector. Now, these injectors have new spool valves, so they should be better than just like a reman, but regardless, it still happens. They're kind of hit or miss, and I'm running the right tune on the truck, so it shouldn't be that. I will, if this problem persists, I'll check into that. But right now, my plan is to swap injector 1 and 3 and see if the problem follows to cylinder 1, which I'm really hoping that's the issue. Then I could just get a new injector. I called Warren Diesel, and they just sent one out, no questions asked, so I will be able to put a new one in regardless, if that turns out to be the problem. But it is unfortunate because it's a ton of work, and thankfully it's on this side that's a little bit easier to get to in the front, so I can reach it. But yeah, I wish that the truck was running better. And in addition to that, there's a box underneath my truck because it is leaking oil so badly. I don't know how I messed up the rear main seal this badly, but the rear main seal is leaking. I think the turbo drain is leaking, so it's just like, it's just so frustrating. So I'm gonna swap those injectors and let's see what happens. All right, we're back in the 6.0. She's running, and look what we got. Cylinder 1 contribution slash balance. So that pretty much confirms that it's injector 1. I swapped 1 and 3. Cylinder 3 code's not coming back. I'm gonna park the truck and then I'll show you guys what it sounds like here. You can hear it stumbling on itself. All right, and I just got the replacement injector. So let's throw this in the truck, see if it fixes our issue. All right, it's all back together and I'm sure it's gonna be pissed off when I start. New injectors always take a little bit to cycle and it's gonna run rough. The high pressure oil system needs to be purged of all the air in it, so you gotta run them pretty hard. But yeah, I'm gonna start it up right now and we'll see if that fixed the issue. See what I'm talking about? We gotta get all that air out of the system. All right, I just got back from a pretty long test drive and the code came back. I don't know what the hell is going on here. It moved from the 1 and 3 cylinders to now 5 and 7. So there's something wrong here and I'm thinking that it's the tune itself. I don't think it's an injector issue anymore. I'm gonna contact ID Speed, the people who I got the tunes from, and try to get them to rewrite it to make it work out. Maybe they know what's going on.
1 day later.
All right, this is not going as planned. So I'm pretty sure, hold on. All right, we're towing the truck back. I'll update as necessary. Oh God. Won't even turn over. Dude. All right, we are towing the 6.0 back home. And it broke down right on the side of the highway, and luckily my buddy was here driving by and he just is gonna tow us back home right now. I was getting a contribution balance on the 3rd cylinder, so I moved that injector to the 1st cylinder. When I did that, the code followed it, so I thought it was a bad injector. I swapped out the injector and the code reappeared in cylinder 5 and 7. So obviously it wasn't an injector issue. They're moving all around. It's changing every time that I start the truck. So I figured it's a tune issue with the truck. I just got the tune. I'm running the truck. I noticed that it is a little smoky at first. Say, okay, maybe it's just a smokier tune. Drive it for a little bit longer. And I noticed that the turbo is taking a very long time to spool. So now I'm going to turn it around and bring it back to the house because I know something's wrong with the tune. That is when the truck just turned off. When it turned off, I turned it back on again, which probably I shouldn't have done, and it dumped out white smoke out of the exhaust. Like, I'm talking a ton of white smoke, and it turned off. I turned it off at that point. I let it sit a little bit, and then I turned the truck back on, and it just clicked. And batteries aren't dead. The truck was just running fine. So I checked the oil, and it's clear. I think that the truck is hydrolocked with fuel. I think it just dumped fuel in the system as much as it could, and I think it hydrolocked the engine. And I'm really hoping that I didn't cause severe internal damage with the engine. I'm gonna drain the oil now and see what it looks like. It's not looking good for the 6.0, guys. A few of you called it. We're just gonna deal with it here, so. I got a feeling that this oil is just pure fuel. And that's what worries me right there. Yep. That's pure fuel coming out. God, man, look at all that fuel coming out. Oh my God, I'm not even gonna have enough for this bucket. That is insane. Here's bucket number 2. Oh, this engine's gotta be toast, dude. That's definitely not oil.
That's not your diesel tank, buddy.
Yeah, that's not, well, it was a diesel tank for a minute. Wow, that is a huge up. All right, so we're gonna tear into this thing. I've already got it, well, actually torn down, but definitely the cylinder's hydrolocked with fuel. So we gotta get that fuel out, right? The easiest way to do that on these trucks is to pull the glow plugs. So I got all 8 glow plugs pulled out. I had to pull the whole heater box here, which is absolutely a terrible design. On the passenger side, there's 4. On the driver's side, there's also 4 in there. So these are the glow plugs right here. They were just soaked in fuel when I pulled them out. So I'm guessing that the cylinders are just filled up with diesel. But now that we have the glow plugs out, the truck should be able to crank over as long as I didn't bend anything major. Like if I bent some connecting rods or valves, it's gonna sound really bad. So let's fingers crossed. Hopefully that's not the case, because that'd be a really quick end to this series. Obviously it's not going to start because there's a hole in the cylinder, but it should spray out all that fuel. It's sat for about 3 weeks right now, and it's slowly been leaking down fuel, but I don't think that it has gotten it all out yet. Oh, it turns. Oh my God, there's fluid all over everything. Yep, that's diesel on everything. And it's gonna smell like diesel in my truck the rest of the time that I own it, because that's the AC. So, all right, let me keep cranking this thing over. Only this passenger side was hydrolocked. I mean, if that's the tune, then that's one thing, but it doesn't really make much sense because there's no fuel coming out of the driver's side. So I'm starting to feel that all these injectors are stuck open. I don't know, that sounds extremely unlikely to me, but I don't know what else it could be, because this whole side is just blowing fuel out. The driver's side has none coming out. What is going on that would make only the passenger side hydrolock itself and dump fuel? I'm gonna take the L on this one here. I just found something, and I'm pretty sure it's the root of all of my new problems that I've been having. I make mistakes just like anyone else, and I make a lot of them often. I just hide most of them with good YouTube editing. So, and you can laugh at my mistake here. Yeah, so this is what a good injector should look like. And look at this guy. O-rings, no good. Copper washer, failed. Second one, not much better here. So we had the faulty injector that I got swapped out from Warren Diesel, and when I put the new one in, I swapped these two, right, when I was testing to try to figure out which injector was bad. And when I tightened them back down, I torqued them, but I torqued them to the wrong torque spec. So instead of 26 foot-pounds, I torqued them to 26 inch-pounds, which is like 2 foot-pounds. Because obviously it didn't set the O-rings deep enough. It didn't get the crush ring gasket to work. So all the fuel is blowing by on each side, making it the other back cylinders not be able to operate because they weren't getting any fuel. That's why we were getting codes for those back injectors, these two, and these were just hydrolocking the engine. And I got the inch-pounds and foot-pounds messed up because this low pressure, high pressure oil rail here is like 96 inch-pounds, and these are 26 foot-pounds. You know, I can make excuses all day, but whatever happened, happened. So I'm gonna clean these up, get it back together, and see if she runs right. Woo! this thing absolutely needs a muffler, but it is running good, and I'm gonna do a quick test drive here, make sure that there's no other issues, but as of right now, the truck is doing really good. I'm happy about that. All right, it is a few weeks later, and I've been actually beating the crap out of this truck. I keep it on the hot tune all the time and just see what's gonna go wrong first. The only problem I've had so far is the oil leaks, the rear main seal and the turbo drain. I have to get that both fixed, and they're pretty big jobs, so that'll probably be for another episode. But I really am amazed with how quick this truck is for a 9,000 pound vehicle. It's a ton of fun to drive, and I'm happy it's finally back together. It's been like a solid 2 months without this thing. I've just been pulling my hair out. So I want to keep you guys up to date with how much I spent on it, so let's roll right into it. I think it's a really important part of these YouTube videos is showing how much it actually costs to do something like this. Okay, so we bought the truck for $7,500. It's a 2003, it has 195,000 miles, exhaust, intake. We bought the tuner and we were at $10,050. That was the end of the first episode. So when we pulled the engine apart, we found those heads were cracked. I went and got the O-ringed heads from Powerstroke Performance, $2,600 for those. Ouch. At the same time, I got push rods and lifters, head studs, gaskets for the whole engine, and that was $1,050. I wanted bigger injectors to make more power, and those were, after the core was returned from Warren Diesel, $1,600. The turbo I found used. That's that stage 2 barter turbo. It's basically a Garrett Power Max, and that was $600 plus $150. So for the rebuild, $750 for that. The regulated return setup, that's from Smeding Diesel. Those are usually around $900. I was able to get it used off Facebook Marketplace for $400. So that was a win there. Those tunes from Innovative Diesel, $300, and they worked with me to get this truck dialed in. So those have been going good. Fluids and filters, $300, and if you have been adding all this up, it is very expensive, way more than I wanted to spend on this truck. We are at $17,050, and that is just for the basic stuff. I'm sure I've spent more than that on the little things here and there. $17,000, it hurts, but you gotta look at it like this. Now I got a bulletproof 6.0. It should be good to go for a while. It makes really good power. Pretty much everything in that engine is freshened up and new. What's the cost of a new 6.7 Powerstroke or a Cummins these days? You're looking at $40,000, right? If I do go to sell this truck ever, I will not get that much back for it. Just being honest, I mean, good luck. It looks pretty, I'm happy with it, and I'm gonna have fun with it for a while, I hope. In the next episode, make sure you subscribe so we can watch it together. I wanna take this truck to the dyno after I get those leaks fixed, and I wanna find out how much power this thing makes. I wanted to make 500 rear wheel horsepower at the start of this video, and I think that we're well on our way to being able to do that. And besides that, stick around and watch some other videos, and thanks for watching. Peace.